Welcome everyone to Mystics Outlook. We got Raymond Lyons here, Carter W. Jr., Wilson Turbe Jr., and the Washington Mystics. Last home game at Care First Arena. They have another home game away from home. That's on Sunday. But tonight we saw the Mercury hold off the Mystics 75-69. And you guys have been talking about teams kind of being in playoff mode. I think we saw that defensively from the Mercury for the most part, especially in terms of the negative airspace given to Sonya Citron. Clea Copper was all over her for much of the night. Um, Ray, we'll start with you, Nick Cardo. Just your thoughts on this one as we saw Kiki Arifin had a pretty good night, as did Shakira Austin, but the Mercury, we saw Washington close the gap. Satu Sabali only had 10 points. 3 of those 10 came at the greatest time in the world for the Mercury. Ray.
Yeah, man, we see a team prepping for the postseason and a team prepping for the lottery. But it it's good that the Mystics aren't just coming in here and laying down. With pretty much nothing to really play for at this point, except pride. So it's good to see them still competing and being in basketball mode as they should be. Like you said, man, the Mercury was just they ramped it up defensively, and the Mystics were swinging back. That's just a tough team to try to score against when they're in that mode. Um, I think the game was lost at the 3 point line. To be perfectly honest, everything else was pretty much even. This isn't a game where we can point to a lot of turnovers. Mystics only had 8 as a team. Rebounding, um, Phoenix had 40. The Mystics had 39. Yeah, 3 point line was where the difference was. Phoenix was 13 to 34. The Mystics were 4 of 16. Assists. Phoenix had 22 assists on 28 field goals. Mystics had 21 assists on 28 field goals. So it's not a lot of separation as far as the numbers go. Phoenix, they just made the plays they need to make, namely that big three by Satu late. And yeah, that was just the difference in the game. Those little things we continuously talk about, they just continually come back to haunt the Mystics. But yeah, Kiki, solid night, 18 points, 13 rebounds. Shakira added a double as well, 15 points, 10 rebounds. Also added 2 blocks. You mentioned Sonya. It's become evident pretty much post All-Star break that teams are going to do whatever they can to not allow her to get comfortable, and that's just something she's going to have to adjust to. Add some things to her offensive game so she can be even more of a threat. She's still been able to manage a couple good games during that stretch, but yeah, teams are giving her the attention she's proven that she's earned. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how she comes back after all season to kind of review what went well and where her opportunities for improvements are. But yeah, man, I mean, just one of those nights. Feel like they put in a solid effort. They just didn't come out on top.
Cardell, your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, it's like what Ray said, the 3 point shooting, but also for me, the bench production. I felt like the Mercury bench, also provided a difference in the game. The ageless one is Sammy Whitcomb. They're all 37 years old of her. She was a big part in that difference in the 3 point shooting, 4 for 7. Those were literally what she knocked down, just 4 for 7 from deep, and that spread the floor enough where it kept the Mystics honest. And the defensive battle, let's face it, the Mercury came in, they're a top 4 defensive rating and points allowed. So when you play them, it's going to kind of be a grinded out type of game, no matter what style you play, unless they just completely just don't show up, and that's rare. So yeah, like what Ray said, give the Mystics credit for not having nothing to play for, but being willing to compete. Because this could have easily went the other way, where we looking at, they got their head rocked, 25 points. They just count down the games of the season, man. But it wasn't the case. And You know, it goes back to what we said last episode. In the W, you can't afford it, even if you out of the playoffs, unless you one of the ones. You can't afford not to come out and compete because you literally could be playing for your job right now. And you kind of see that sense of urgency in a lot of the players, you know, on the message. But not just her, DeWanna Bonner, 9 points. They just provided 2 for 6 from D. They just provided a good compliment, good production off the bench that, you know, thoroughly outplayed the Mystics bench where, you know, 22-11. And a compliment with you know, Satu and Alyssa Thomas were doing, and Copper. Obviously, Copper led the game. Well, she was tied for a game high 18 points, but you know, in a grinded out game, you know, Alyssa Thomas and Sabali, you know, they didn't score the most, but they still had their all around production, and that's what makes them difficult to beat. When they're impacting the game in so many facets, it's hard to beat them. And then on top of that, Citron, I know she struggled from the field, but that's why we keep saying when she deals with physical, athletic, big wings, it gives her trouble. And that's par for the course of being a rookie. She knows now, like, she got to get stronger because Alyssa Thomas and Sabali, Copper, you know, even Copper, like, you know, she started a career with the Mystics, and she's still to this day one of the most athletic guards I've seen in the W. It's just that, you know, they had to make a decision. I think it was her and Cloud, or I think it was her and Cloud early on. They kept Cloud, you know what I mean? And then they traded her and got Deladon. She was in that package for Deladon, and, you know, the rest is history. But, yeah, you know, C-Strong got to figure that out. You got to be able to take the bumps and the physicality and the contact and still be able to deliver. And that'll come with time, but that comes with strength, where you can absorb that and keep it going. And right now they have that advantage over. So it is what it is. But, you know, that's why you see Kiki kind of being more consistent as the season closes out, because as a big, you're used to banging. So it's just a matter of just, you know, making a play. So, you know, outside 3-point shooting and the bench production, you know, I was fairly even. But for me, that was the difference in the game.
I agree with you guys wholeheartedly. I was shaking my head every time I saw Sammy Whitcomb wide open. I'm like, brother, the book's only a page. It's a page-long book, but it's in big, bold letters. Don't leave her open. It's what she does. Cardell, you said she's 37. It's how she stayed around this long. She's elite in her role. She plays dogged defense. If you leave her open, guess what happens? You walk the other way. Her teammates feel like I found Sammy wide open. Hey, we ain't got to crash. It's time to go. Everybody go back down court. And that's what happened on a couple of those threes. She sprung wide open. I'm like, oh man, Washington. No, not that. And then, as you guys said about her opening up the floor, next thing you know, Copper gets a rhythm shooting jumpers. And, you know, somebody that freaking athletic, once they get comfortable hitting the jumpers. And we've seen that. Cardell, you mentioned her being a big part of that trade. And that was kind of one of those rare win-wins. In the immediate, Washington got Deladon. After a while, you know, gave it some time. That's a freaking finals MVP. Leah Copper out to be. Like, it worked out just in time, right? And like you said with the physicality, you've seen with Kid Jackson. You've seen, obviously, Leah Copper. That's the book right now. And for Citron, obviously, that's a wonderful thing. If that's what people are going to already as a rookie, that's great. Like Cardell, you've been talking about on the men's side and women's side for a while, is that it's imperative. Get your body together so you can make it basketball again. And then you'll be fine. But right now, there's a couple times they trapped her, man. I felt bad. I was like, we all know how this is ending. It's taking the ball. She's on the ground at times. Like, AT is strong as hell. Strong as hell. And one of the other things, and I think this is the most unfair thing in the world, Alyssa Thomas setting those Steve Nash screens, except she's 5 times the size of Steve Nash in the women's game, where she's coming over and she's bigger than the person she's giving the ball to. That's not fair. It's illegal. Copper's coming off that AT screen, wide open. There's nobody on the other side of the screen. Again, kudos to Phoenix, as you guys said. For Washington, hell of a fight. And for Kiki, I know we've been talking about Citron recently. Kiki became the franchise leader in rookie double-doubles. I believe with this one, this was number 16 on the year. So kudos to her. If you guys had nothing else, we get to player of the game.
AT.
X Factor.
Sammy. 3-pointers hurt.
They definitely did. All right, we got a couple comments. We could get to those real quick. Area 11T, as always, as y'all were talking, Citron was open on another cut.
Oh boy.
Follow this up with the conversation y'all were having. It's for real, Citron got to get stronger and work on the ability to score when you pick and roll.
Hey man, Sug got 8 assists, man. Give her a break, dog. I don't know if that was her, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, you get 8 assists, you hooping. You know what I mean? But it's easier said than done with that length that the Mercury had, man. You know, like it's easy from my point of view to be like, yeah, she open. But I guarantee you on the floor, they ain't see none of that. They just saw arms and trees in front of them. So
I mean, there was a couple times they tried to fit the ball in there, and again, it was like 4 DBs sitting right there. By the time the pass, the closer got to Citron, the more Mercury defenders were in that window. Then agreeing with you guys earlier too. Man, Kiki could be something special for real. We saw her. You know, Cardell, you talked about the NECA comp. I think a couple games ago we saw that a little bit of that. This game saw a lot. Just she caught the ball at the nail, the elbow. Folks giving her room, went straight and knocked down that jumper. Continued.
I like how she stayed aggressive. She didn't shoot the ball the best. She's 8 of 19, but season over effort. You know what I'm saying? Like, what I'm keeping bullets in the clip for. You know what I mean? I'm letting it out. I'm gonna empty the clip. So I ain't even mad at that. Who cares, man? You know what I'm saying? Like, along with just competing, you still trying to build habits going into next year.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't have to cross this bridge with certain things when the next season start. You know, because I know these two are win. You know, these two are winners. There's a lot of winners on the team. I'm not going to dismiss the whole team. I'm talking about the rookies. They're winners. They won a lot of games. So I know they're gonna be looking on in the off season like, yeah, this gonna be it. We ain't gonna be losing all these damn. You know, we're gonna be in the playoffs. You know, we're not gonna lose 20-something games. Like, just think about that. Like, come on, man. I don't even know if they lost 20 in 4 years. Both of them.
Probably not.
So they not. It's a trap.
For sure. But like you guys said, hell of a fight by them. Again, especially with nothing but pride on deck for them. They have the Fever on Sunday in Baltimore. After that, they officially wrap the season on the road on Tuesday against the Liberty. So we'll check in with you guys Sunday afternoon. We got a comment before the buzzer. What steps would they need to take to help this team get to the next level?
Remember when I spoke on that mock draft a couple of episodes ago? Draft them players. That'll help. Just draft them players, get Georgia healthy. And then just let them hoop. You draft well, hoop. That's where they at right now. Keep development, keep working. Draft well next year.
So, all right, folks, we appreciate you guys, and we will get with y'all on Sunday.